Our story today is about a man searching for his missing brother. By pure chance, he discovers an entirely different world, one unlike ours, filled with secrets and mysteries no one knows anything about. Unfortunately, he's shocked to find out there are many extremely dangerous things there that threaten his life and the lives of his friends. He desperately tries to get rid of them by any means possible. In the film's opening scene, we see a man running with a massive dinosaur chasing right behind him. He tries everything he can to escape and save himself from certain death. Suddenly, he reaches the end of the path, but the ground splits open right in front of him, dividing into two halves. Between them, a huge river of molten lava emerges. With no other option left, he's forced to jump. Unfortunately, he falls right in the middle and dies. After that, we're introduced to Professor Timer, a volcanologist working at a university. He's deeply dedicated to his research, especially concerning Earth's core and the unknown things hidden beneath the surface. After finishing his usual lecture, he heads to the lab, where a colleague informs him that the government has refused to fund their project. Sadly, the lab will shut down in just a few days. We then learn that the man we saw falling into the volcano at the beginning was Max, Timer's brother, who also worked in the same lab. His colleague tells Timer that Max hasn't shown up in days and that there's been no news about him. Since Max is officially in charge of the lab, the government insists it must close unless he returns. Timer promises to find Max as quickly as possible and prevent the lab's closure, hoping they can continue their research and reach a breakthrough. But when his colleague insists there's no solution other than shutting down, Timer leaves, deeply upset, lost in thought the whole way home. As soon as he gets home, Timer finds a message from Max's son, Sean, saying he'll be coming over. Shortly after, the doorbell rings, and Max's wife arrives with Sean. She explains she's extremely busy and must travel for 10 days, so she's leaving Sean with Timer since there's no one else to care for him. She hands Timer a special box Max had asked to be delivered to him, and then departs after saying goodbye. Timer takes the box inside and chats briefly with Sean, then decides to open it. He's shocked to find a book titled Journey to the Center of the Earth, authored by the famous Professor Jules Verne, a known work of fiction. Timer is even more stunned when he flips through it and discovers Max had written numerous notes and observations right in the margins, as if he truly believed everything in the book. Shortly after, Timer gets an idea. He quickly takes Sean to the lab and searches Max's computer, reviewing all his brother's notes. He discovers that the locations Max had marked all contain underground volcanoes. Strangely, 3 specific sites match each other's conditions in excruciating detail, exactly as they were 10 years ago. Timer suspects this has something to do with Max's disappearance. Convinced his brother might be trapped somewhere among these sites, Timer becomes especially intrigued by Iceland, sensing something unusual about its weather patterns.
After gathering all the information he needs, Timer returns home with Sean and decides they must go to Iceland immediately. He explains his theory to Sean. According to the book, there's an entirely different world beneath Earth's surface, home to countless strange phenomena, and a volcanic chamber that could threaten all life on Earth in seconds. Max probably followed the book's clues to Iceland, vanished there, and nobody's heard from him since. Upon hearing all this, Sean insists on joining the trip to find his father. Timer initially refuses, but eventually gives in after Sean keeps pushing. During the flight, Timer reads the book more closely and notices the name Seknussemm, a professor mentioned repeatedly throughout its pages. He suspects Seknussemm suffered the same fate as Max and begins searching online for any information about him. Sean easily finds the man's address, and they decide to go there first. When they land, they rent a car and arrive at the address, only to be greeted at the door by a young woman named Hannah. They tell her they've come to meet Professor Seknussemm, but she reveals he passed away years ago. Learning they're travelers from afar, Hannah, Seknussemm's daughter, welcomes them into her home. Timer explains everything about Max's disappearance. Hannah is shocked because the exact same thing happened to her father. Deciding to help, she gives them another book containing identical theories and agrees to collaborate, hoping to find some trace of her father or Max. Timer explains that, as a fellow volcanologist and Max's brother, he's well equipped to investigate further. If they follow the book's instructions precisely, they might locate both Max and her father. Hannah is convinced and senses a glimmer of hope. They soon determine their target, northern Iceland, where volcanic tubes lead directly down to subterranean lava chambers. They'll need an experienced guide, and luckily, Hannah reveals she's a tour guide who knows the area exceptionally well. Without wasting time, they pack their gear and head out together. Atop the mountain, they use their sensor equipment to precisely locate the volcano. Suddenly, strange lightning strikes all around them. Sensing danger to Sean, Hannah quickly pulls him away to safety while urging Timer to ditch his device, realizing it's attracting the lightning and putting all three of them at risk. Timer sprints toward them, tosses the device away, and moments later an even larger lightning bolt hits, causing the mine entrance to collapse and trapping them outside. After resting briefly, they turn on their flashlights and try to find an exit. Sean grows increasingly nervous and frightened. Their phones have no signal, leaving them unable to call for help. Hannah realizes the rocks are too numerous to remove, so their only option is to follow the tunnel to its end, hoping for an exit. Timer leads the way, with Sean and Hannah close behind. Suddenly, he reaches a sheer cliff edge, but Hannah grabs him just in time, saving his life. After some thought, they agree they must descend below, suspecting another exit might be there. Using their ropes, they make the difficult climb down. Once at the bottom, Hannah searches the area and finds a generator. She flips the switch, and they're stunned to discover a massive underground mine, far larger than the one above. Everything is perfectly in place, as if the miners had fled suddenly without taking anything. Most astonishingly, they find an old minecart system they can use to travel further, likely leading to an exit. They board the carts, and almost immediately the track behaves like a roller coaster, rising steeply, plunging dramatically, and speeding uncontrollably. Sean is terrified and overwhelmed. After a long, chaotic ride, they're horrified to find the track ends abruptly in midair. Trapped and unable to exit the cart, they resign themselves to fate, but miraculously the cart flips and sends them smoothly in the opposite direction, continuing along another track.
Soon, their carts diverge onto separate paths, splitting them up completely. Sensing danger, Hannah leaps from her cart at the last second and lands in Timer's just in time. But before they can recover, they discover Timer's track is also blocked, until, luckily, they spot a rope, grab hold, and jump clear just before disaster strike. Though shaken, they're relieved to find Sean has also landed safely nearby. After catching their breath, they spot a fourth tunnel entrance and enter together. Inside, they're amazed to find the walls completely covered in glittering diamonds. Sean quickly fills his bag with as many as he can carry. At that moment, Timer realizes they've reached the volcanic tube mentioned in the book. The presence of diamonds confirms they're inside the legendary Vern mine, meaning they're extremely close to Earth's core. Suddenly, the ground beneath them starts trembling violently, feeling fragile and unstable. They try to balance carefully to avoid collapse, until a diamond slips from Sean's bag, crashing to the floor and shattering the thin crust of Earth. All three plummet into a deep abyss, screaming in terror. They eventually crash into a strange underground lake, struggle to surface, and swim desperately until they reach solid ground. Overwhelmed by shock, they laugh in disbelief at their survival, but their amazement deepens when they look up and see countless glowing, bizarre birds circling in the darkness, something they've never seen before. One bird approaches Sean playfully, then the whole flock suddenly moves in unison. Hoping this might lead them to an exit, they follow, but are soon hit with an even greater shock. They've entered an entirely new world, completely separate from Earth. Hannah now realizes her father's stories were true. There really is a hidden world beneath the surface. Everything described in Jules Verne's book stands before them in perfect detail. Timer insists someone must live here. If Verne himself escaped and wrote the book, then an exit must exist, and they must find it. Exploring further, they discover a hut built into a giant tree. Inside, they're stunned to find Max's personal journal, unmistakably in his handwriting. Hannah finds numerous notes outside, and even a canteen labeled Max. Their hopes rise, until Hannah discovers Max's skeleton nearby. Devastated, she runs to tell Timer and Sean. Both are heartbroken. They bury Max's remains and read his final notes, which reveal his joy at discovering this hidden world and his despair despair at being trapped, unable to return to his beloved son, Sean. He wrote everything down in hopes someone would find it one day, expressing his deep love for Sean and his desperate wish to witness his son growing up. Sean is overcome with emotion and breaks down crying. Timer does his best to comfort him, promising to stay by his side forever. They decide to rest and figure out how to escape this world. From Max's notes, they learn the temperature here can reach 200 degrees Celsius at any moment. Checking their equipment, they see the temperature is already climbing rapidly, meaning they could die within a day unless they find the exit soon. Following Max's notes and Vern's clues, Hannah determines they must head north, cross the river, find a cave filled with scalding hot water, follow it to a waterfall, and search the surrounding area thoroughly for the exit. The next morning, they hastily build a wooden raft using whatever materials they can find, attach Max's umbrella as a sail, and set off. They travel down the river for a long time until the weather suddenly turns. Torrential rain pours down, and terrifying aggressive fish appear, chasing them relentlessly. They fight back with their small weapons, but then enormous creatures emerge and devour the fish. Timer tries his best to avoid them, securing the umbrella sail tightly until Hannah collapses from exhaustion. They lose control of the sail, and only Sean remains holding onto it. Due to his light weight, the wind lifts him into the air uncontrollably. Timer can't reach him in time, and Sean passes out from fear. When Sean regains consciousness, he's alone on a riverbank. The same friendly bird from earlier approaches him strangely, as if guiding him toward something. Sean decides to follow it, and soon arrives at a bizarre area filled with floating rocks and deep fissures. Though incredibly risky, Sean remembers all of Timer's advice, carefully jumps from one floating stone to the next, and miraculously makes it safely across. Meanwhile, Timer and Hannah reach the shore and frantically search for Sean. Timer is extremely worried, but Hannah tries to calm him, insisting Sean is smart, knows our plan, and can handle himself. Suddenly, a strange, aggressive plant attacks Hannah, choking her. Timer battles it fiercely and saves her just in time. At that moment, Sean arrives at a clearing filled with massive dinosaur skeletons. Suddenly, a terrifying roar approaches. He flees and hides among the rocks. Timer and Hannah arrive at a different spot and panic when they realize Sean is missing again. They split up to search faster.
Just then, a gigantic dinosaur attacks Sean, who screams in terror and sprints away. He hides in a small crevice, still crying out for his uncle. By sheer luck, Tamer hears his cries, smashes through the rock wall, and pulls him out to safety. They're forced to flee in a completely new direction, with the dinosaur chasing them relentlessly until the ground begins splitting open beneath them. Tamer sacrifices himself, pushing Sean to run one way while he confronts the dinosaur alone. He distracts it as long as possible, eventually luring it to a cliff edge and managing to knock it over. He then races back to Sean, and they hurry toward the river. There, they find the water scalding hot. Their only hope is the raft they built, but it's gone. Suddenly, Hannah appears, riding an enormous dinosaur skeleton she's turned into a makeshift boat. She rescues them, and the trio continues their journey. Abruptly, something strange happens. The raft speeds uncontrollably in a new direction and plunges into a deep valley. Below them, they see a massive river of lava. Petrified and unsure how to escape, Tamer desperately formulates a plan before rising temperatures kill them. He realizes their only chance is water. If they pour enough into the lava, the resulting steam explosion might blast them upward toward an exit. Hannah notices water seeping through a nearby crack. They use their magnesium flares and torches to weaken the rock, triggering a massive explosion that releases a huge surge of water. Their plan works, but now they're engulfed in scalding steam, and the raft rockets uncontrollably upward. Miraculously, they burst through Earth's surface, fly off a high cliff, tumble through vegetation, and finally crash into a farm. The bewildered farmer watches in shock as his crops are ruined. Their biggest surprise comes when they realize the farmer speaks Italian, meaning they've emerged in Italy, having traveled underground all the way from Iceland. Sean, feeling guilty, gives the farmer one of his diamonds as compensation. The farmer is overjoyed and can't believe his luck, warmly inviting them to visit any time. In the end, Tamer is thrilled to have made such a monumental discovery, and he, Hannah, and Sean are now wealthy beyond measure, set for a comfortable future. Tamer even proposes to Hannah. After returning home, he arrives just in time to save his lab from closure, funding it himself to resolve the issue that had plagued him for so long. When Sean's mother comes to pick him up after the 10 days, Tamer gifts Sean another book authored by his father, titled The Lost City of Atlantis, clearly hinting at a new adventure ahead. In the final scene, they're shocked to discover the strange glowing bird has stowed away in Sean's backpack, having followed him back to the surface. And that's where our story ends for today. Stay tuned for more videos and summaries. Bye!